So welcome. Hello.
Good morning.
Hello. We've been out and about handing out Return to Rural swag, so if you've missed that, we have a pail up here, so before you leave, make sure you get a hold of us and get your treats. And of course, some of our really cute postcards that we have in our Return to Rural marketing. So if we could just have those slides back up again, we'll get started.
There are crazier things in life than returning to rural. Follow your heart, take a leap towards a simpler life in Alberta's special area.
I am pressing next, okay. So there really are crazier things in life than returning to rural.
Like entering our social media contest that will be ongoing throughout our presentation. So if you haven't already liked us on Facebook, we're the Return to Rural Project, and we're also on Twitter. So if you want to post on our Facebook page, on our timeline, with the hashtag return2rural, or to us on Twitter, then we will be giving away some prizes at the end of the session.
And they're right here, so we have some neat portfolios and some mugs. So we are so honored to be here today and thrilled to take this chance, any chance, to inspire anyone with the story of Return to Rural.
Also, we will give you a sneak peek of our strategies and secrets and examples of our programs.
So I'm Christy. I work for SAMDA Economic Partnership. That's a regional economic development alliance in Southeast Alberta. Can I have that slide back up? Thanks. I'm a project manager for Return to Rural, and also I'm proud to be a trustee for Prairie Rose School Division number 8. A lot of my people are here, so that's me, and this is Lorraine.
I'm Lorraine. I am actually a graduate of the University of Alberta, Augustana, who connected me with Return to Rural on a rural capacity internship program. 3 years later, I am still their communications gal. And I currently work for the Rural Alberta Business Center in Hanna, one of 8 centers in Alberta, and I myself am a Return to Rural success story.
So mapping out the future for young people in the new rural frontier is really what Return to Rural is all about.
Rural everywhere has a challenge. Young people migrate to urban centers, and let's face it, traditionally few people stay or return, and the global statistics are staggering while the rural populations are declining.
So you've probably heard over your lifetime that it really isn't possible to keep or bring young people to a rural community. And that's because up till a few years ago, it really was extremely challenging, close to impossible.
So why is it possible now?
Technology. Technology has changed everything and is changing everything. And yes, even in small town Alberta.
The R2R philosophy is built on the idea that by blending community and technology, that anyone can live their dream life rurally.
So our communities are taking a global approach to a local economic development program or problem, and it's working.
In Alberta's special area, we have embraced technology and youth as key drivers to reimagine our rural community.
And we've created the Return to
Rural
Project.
R2R connects young people with rural work, life, and business opportunities in the special areas.
So we're just going to give you a few details about R2R, and basically R2R is our version of our Youth Engagement, Retention, and Attraction Initiative.
Our idea is to leverage technology and to connect youth to rural opportunity.
So the founding principles of R2R are quite simple. Basically, we want to help young people grow a great career through entrepreneurship and showing their entrepreneurial spirit, and allow them to return to a rural way of life. We're always encouraging New Age pioneers, and we foster the use of technology to connect and invite, invite being the primary word, young people to return. And we always want to inspire a change in mindset about rural, because it's our mindset about rural that's holding us back.
Meet Kelsey. She's my neighbor from home. She's a great example of young people who have returned to rural in Alberta's special area. She owns 4 different beauty school networks, so they're in Lethbridge, Calgary, Grand Prairie, Medicine Hat, and she can run them from her home in special area number 2 via video conferencing and Skype.
This wasn't possible until a few years ago. So she's able to juggle her family, her farm, and her growing business, all from her location in special area number 2. So R2R really has pioneered a new approach to youth migration issues, and I believe it could change the face of rural communities everywhere.
Young people are returning, and more will come. Our goal is to invite them to return and also provide the examples to inspire others to return as well.
So we wanted to share a bit of our success stories. I believe this video does or doesn't work. Okay.
We'll give it a go.
So this is Kendra. Kendra, if the video works. If not, we'll just quickly skip over that. Do I click or do you guys bring up?
You can live anywhere, but creating your life takes more than just a location. It takes something special. So why not return to rural? You'll find what you need to live your dream life right here in Alberta's special area.
Rural and the land is definitely where I find my niche.
Simone Hagens is a driven, focused businesswoman. Her company, Terrestrial Solutions, thrives with her at the helm, and she thrives in her quiet country setting.
It's even in the chaos of what goes on a day-to-day basis at this particular place. When you walk outside and you see what you see, there's no question that you just kind of level.
Simone and her husband Ryan use their home base to grow their businesses and raise their daughter. The calm, rural setting helps them step back from their busy careers.
We go for walks. We take the dog down to the dugout for a swim and throw rocks, and those are very mind-freeing activities.
Simone loves that her daughter is growing up on nature's doorstep, and she too can nurture her love of the land.
I really enjoy that kind of connection with the land, and it is what I do for a living, and for me to be successful at my job, you have to keep the connection with the land off your time too. My name is Simone Hagens, and I thoroughly love working and living in special areas.
Thank you.
Our funders and partners are Special Areas, SAMDA Economic Partnership, Alberta Agriculture and Rural Development, Alberta Culture and Tourism, Alberta Municipal Affairs, and all of our amazing municipalities.
Plus, we work with over 30 organizations on a continuing basis. Partnerships have really been the basis and the engagement that we get from Return to Rural. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, give you some context about where we come from and who we are. So these are our Alberta Special Areas communities. So we have Special Area number 2, 3, and 4. We have the MD of Acadia, the town of Oyen, the village of Cereal, the village of Empress, the town of Hannah, the village of Veteran, village of Youngstown, and village of Concert. And the area in which we live is in southeast Alberta. We make up about 5 million acres, and we have just 11,000 people. So none of our communities are larger than 3,000 people. We're very rural.
What's making our approach so successful? Well, we blend community, technology, and globalization.
So the R2R recipe for success for us has been rural high-speed internet and advances in technology accessibility. So these level the playing field in education, e-commerce, and telework. There is a growing favorable perception of rural living, and there is a major shift in social and economic culture, just with even social media. We believe that Return to Rural is bringing the future to Alberta's special area. And the future is young people living in small communities. That is the future. Let's not forget that. They'll be working remotely, running online businesses, connecting on a global scale. They'll embrace social media and build our new rural culture. And they'll also build a new version of governance and volunteerism. And they'll innovate the world around us as we're here. And they will redefine quality of life.
Young families are making the future more promising than ever, and if we help and give them chances to engage in return, they will stay or they will return.
So the R2R process is quite simple. We have 5 core components that we work within. That's the highest priority is youth engagement, marketing, social media, business and tech supports, and municipal planning integration. Those have been all key and will be key to continuing to build Return to Rural and allow young people to return.
Our 2 main target markets are young people aged 21 to 45 who are savvy, well-educated, and have roots in our rural communities, or whether they might just be looking for a place to open a business or maybe a better place to raise a family, because let's face it, we all know that we got the cream of the crop out in Alberta's special area. And also, another target is their parents and grandparents. So they are a huge decision influencer in our youth and reaching them and helping them to change the stigma that there is nothing for young people in rural.
And we all know that this group has been a major influencer and a contributor to the negative perception. We can all admit that. So social media has been the basis of connecting youth with our rural opportunity.
On Facebook, we have over 1,700 followers, and on Twitter, over 1,200. So we've reached people from local to global, and we're continuing to spread the word. We've even connected with an organization out of Minnesota recently because they liked what we were doing, and they also want to do something similar with their youth.
And we made a decision early on. Lorraine is our committed social media resource. So she has hours she works every month building our social media following, connecting with people, engaging with people. So that's very important if you're going to use social media to allocate resources to do that right. My voice isn't the voice of Return to Rural. We need young voices for the Return to Rural. So we've made a commitment, our municipalities, our communities made a huge commitment to invite young pioneers and entrepreneurs to return to rural. So we know that that entrepreneurial spirit will build our communities, and these people will create their own jobs and push for growth. So we're not sure if we have another video. Yeah?
Actually, I want to give it a go here. I want to give it a test.
Okay, thank you.
I do have another stat for you. Everyone says when you're out driving in the country, you have to drive so far between places. And I said, well, at least I'm going somewhere. Where in Calgary, on average, the average person commutes 288 hours a year. And that's kind of the stop and go in traffic. So that's an interesting stat we have.
You can live anywhere, but creating your life takes more than just a location. It takes something special. So why not return to rural? You'll find what you need to live your dream life right here in Alberta's special area.
That's okay. Thank you very much for trying. I'll just wait a second for the slide.
Well, we'd have to go back because you played that already.
That's okay.
All right. Well, thank you for trying that. We have issues with video everywhere we go. So is that my turn or your turn?
Oops.
Okay. Can we go back one? All right. So as part of our commitment to rebuild our little piece of rural, we're sharing and proving the message on a global scale that young people can return and live not just any life, but a dream life in rural, especially in Alberta's special area.
Solutions to traditional rural probs can be found in Return to Rural. Our community is transcending common rural challenges through partnerships, creative solutions, and the celebration of rural with a capital R. And we're happy to report that we're making rural progress.
Let's give you some hashtags to try there.
If anyone likes a pun or two.
So 5 years, 9 communities, big results. We have a wonderful social media community. We have 5 new programs and 300 plus businesses served. We have 11 municipalities committed to R2R. We do have a change in rural mindset. We've engaged over 300 people, young people in economic development, and we continue to do that, whether it is online, through surveys, or at meetings. We have a number of success stories. We've shared one. We were going to share a couple today, but you can find those on our YouTube channel as well, of young people staying and returning. We have one-on-one assisted over 200 businesses and entrepreneurs, and we have created a project that unites people's passion for rural building everywhere. So we're pretty proud of our results.
So what's the secret? We're not your average rural development program. It's the approach that makes us different and engaging.
So now we're going to share a few of our R2R strategy secrets. Now we don't like to share many of our secrets, so we're just going to share a few. And we think too that if you apply these strategies to your projects, in your communities, in your school division, in your own life, you'll see results. So here they are.
Strategy secret number 1, engagement equals empowerment. Good communication is the key to this, and the two-way kind is preferred. If you always do what you always done, you always get what you always got. So even take that back to your boards, for example. When you go with the old way all the time, it often will discourage young people to join and share their ideas. So we're going to touch on this later, but we're training leaders, even the current leaders, to be more open to accepting and nourishing younger leaders. So that's how you're going to get young people to stay, is if they feel that they're empowered.
You can see Lorraine is pretty passionate about this. This has been one of the key things that young people have told us. If you want us to return, or you want us to sit on your board, you want us to sit on your committee, you got to start listening, and you got to start understanding how we view democracy. So number 2, use humor and keep it human. So if anyone's seen our postcards, we have a crazy girl on there. We do all kinds of crazy things with our marketing just because the competition is really fierce and we feel little sometimes. So this is a great way for us to show that we're human and that we're an interesting place to invest in and an interesting place to return to. We have taken some chances over the years with our marketing, and we have had some criticism for it. It's too sexy, it's not sexy enough, it's whatever. But it's been one of the keys, one of the key things that has really propelled our initiative.
And also, it's okay to be rural. Keep it rural. Don't be embarrassed or think that you're small. We use our ruralness to our advantage, and that's what differentiates and unites us. This picture was from our I Heart Rural social media contest. We had an amazing amount of entries on it. They just flooded right in.
From all over the world, all over Canada. It was a great initiative.
Oh, and also, I guess I'll add, we went to the Newcomers Fair in Calgary there last weekend, and we had some amazing results from that. Some people that came, that we met with our crazy hat girl postcard that you've seen on there, they actually are wanting to come out and tour special areas from the city. So that's a huge success story.
So we have started to go out and recruit. It took us a few years to get our feet under us, but we now go to trade shows and actually recruit. So we wanted to give a little bit more depth to R2R and get past kind of the overview and the generalities and talk a bit about the programs that we have and the results that we've had from that. We have 4 main programs. We do a lot of other things, but this is the main categories. So we have Invest in Rural here, and that's any programs we have for entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, any entrepreneurs actually. We have Work Wednesday. We found that we really had an issue with people finding work or thinking they couldn't find work. And so we created Work Wednesday. So every Work Wednesday on Facebook and Twitter on our accounts, people can find work. And we've just created a brand new website with a huge listing for businesses and jobs. So they'll be posted there and on Work Wednesday. Been very successful. Next, Leaders engages leaders in rebuilding rural. Lorraine touched on this a bit. We need to build leadership, and so we have programs specifically for that. And then capital R for rural, that's everything we do about our positive propaganda about rural.
Yes, we don't want to take a back seat anymore. Rural is spelled with capital R. So Invest in Rural here, we are focused on entrepreneurs to rebuild our communities and diversify the economy, create jobs. And we also deliver consulting services and business supports. We have skill building and training, and all of our services are focused on new age business practices and productivity. And we market all these through our social network. So Facebook and Twitter, like I said, if you haven't liked us already, be sure to.
So, and I told you a bit about Work Wednesday. This is very important to our community. In 2014, we posted over 400 jobs, and we would have posted a lot more, but that's already spamming people. So there's lots of opportunity where we live, and there's lots of opportunity where all of you live if you just share that information. And we have become the go-to hub for jobs in special areas.
Our R2R Next Leaders, which we did mention before, we've engaged over 300 young people in conversation about rebuilding rural. And we've hosted training and will continue to host training for our local government leaders. We want to empower leaders whenever and wherever possible and encourage young people to get started and set up.
And it's no mistake that Lorraine stands here on this stage with me today, because we need to do this. We need to mentor young people and have young people given the opportunities that we have. So I'm really proud that Lorraine is here with me, and I hope that when you have speaking engagements that you think of ways to engage youth as well. So capital R for rural, there's some grammarists in the room that are probably quite annoyed with this capital R, and we send proposals away and we get them back and they say you've made a spelling mistake, but we haven't. We create partnerships with rural communities everywhere. As Lorraine said, we just spoke to some communities out of Minnesota, and they want to share. They found us and like what we're doing. No one can copy Return to Rural. It's impossible. So it's great to share, and it's great to learn new things. So we keep that capital R, meaning rural, everywhere. And rural positivity is contagious, and it's not hard to sell it because we do have such a great world in which we live in.
We hope the R2R story has inspired you to see the opportunity to blend youth, technology, collaboration, and globalization together in your pursuit of transcending the rural reality.
And remember, we are each in charge of our rural reality. Let's invite young people to return and share the message that anyone can live their dream life in rural. Because the future of rural and all of our communities, large and small, just basically depends on that.
And before we close our presentation, we want to invite you to attend our first ever R2R Next Leadership Conference in 2016. More details to be announced. You can sign up for notification on our newly launched website that launched on Friday. Or we also will have our new Rural Leaders programs for leaders across Alberta and beyond, which will launch again later this year. Stay tuned on our website for more details.
Yeah, we've been lucky enough to attract some funding to create leadership programs for rural Albertans. So watch for those. They'll be really great. They'll be for our communities and communities across Alberta.
So what's stopping you? Return to rural.
And thank you. And then Lorraine's going, do you want to do questions or the contest? Does it matter? Okay.
We'll take questions and I'll look through who's tweeted us, and I guess that'll give you a second more if you haven't joined the contest to join the contest.
I'd just like to ask whether you have any initiative to engage the larger community in welcoming new people into small communities.
Yes, we do. We have quite a few partnerships. One of them, for example, is with the municipalities. So as they get summer students home, we have a postcard program, so they work with us to get names of young people that may be returning, and we work with them to get that message out. We do all of our events, we do a lot of community engagement events, and we bring Return to Rural into all of those. So we did some Palliser Futures work, where we were talking about building the community, but we bring Return to Rural into that. So every conversation we have is about that.
Have any further questions?
I'm assuming that Return to Rural right now is the marketing that you've done and the logos and all of that good stuff is intended for special areas. I'm wondering about taking some of these strategies around the province and even within our own school division. Any thoughts? I mean, there's just so much here, and there's so much, I don't know, the word of last night I think was potential, whatever that means. That word scares the living daylights out of me, but regardless of that, like, there's lots and lots of potential here, not just within Prairie Road School Division or our municipalities, but around the province. If there was a small but dedicated group that was interested, what are your fees for advice and all of that good stuff? Like, what would that look like?
Well, we have been asked that quite frequently. We have done a little bit with that, and I think these new leadership programs will take us into that era. We are open to helping rural Alberta, across Alberta and beyond, and I think there's tons of potential for us to still maintain our independence and our great initiative, but for others to learn and feed into that. And those things build our communities as other people feed in and partner as well. So totally into that. I don't have my fee list with me, but that's a great question. Thank you. Well, it's time. Oh, another one?
I guess we could say if you're interested in partnership, we're open and willing
Absolutely.
to have that conversation.
I was just wondering how you're working with school districts to make sure that there's the educational opportunities available for the students and for the families who return there so that their students can be educated. Or are you going with technology for the educational requirements of the students?
Well, I guess you could say in my other role, I'm a trustee with Prairie Road School Division, so I do have that in the back of my mind all the time. I can give you an example of something we did at South Central High School in Oyen. We did a career and entrepreneurship event, and it was the first of its kind done at the school. And there we connected people, employers, organizations with young people and technology, and it was a great event. And we want to do more of that. We'll continue to do more of that. We have another one scheduled in the fall. And I've been hearing that there's interest to go do some work in school divisions, so we're really anxious to start helping with that. Absolutely, thank you.
Can also help answer that from the school division perspective. I mean, they've got, Rural to Rural has an awesome network. And so, for example, when we're and it's not directly necessarily always with the kids, but even from a recruiting standpoint for teachers, we sort of get the word out to them, but we also advertise through our network, for example, if there's a position at the hospital or something like that as well. So just some of the informal partnerships that you have, and just combining your networks in terms of social media is also a step in the right direction, I think. So it's, what is it that we can do to support each other in a way that doesn't take a whole bunch of time? Retweeting doesn't take a whole bunch of time and expands the network, right?
Blending community and technology. Very good.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I think it's really imperative that the partnerships be formed with the towns or the villages that are in these areas. Like, I'm from an area east of Red Deer, very small town. Now, we're not out in the special areas, but our town is very small. But I guess it's a village, developed some areas and sold the lots very, very cheap to attract young people to live there and work probably in Red Deer or a larger center around. And so I think it's important that the municipalities get on board with that as well. They need to do things that also will help to attract people.
Yes, they're not only our major partners, they're our major leaders. So when they're making a decision at their tables, they're not thinking of young people, different decisions are made, right? So those relationships are key, all the way through, all the way through. Yeah, absolutely.
I guess I have another point to add. Also, this would have been the 6th, it's more by the U.S. federal government, the 6th annual telework week. They decided not to do it anymore because they've received great results from it. But there is a work shift out of Calgary, and they are huge advocates of people teleworking. There's actually 34% of small businesses are under pressure to have their employees telework as well. So like you said, maybe they're living in a rural community and they're working in an urban center, but they could be teleworking as well, right? Yeah.
Could you give some examples of how that might work? Is there a specialization that a community would then look at, such as IT, or I guess mostly that's what most teleworkers would look at, but is there some way that a community could specialize in a certain area to attract people to come back?
Absolutely. We have kind of focused on technology. I wish we had it with us. We have a new piece of marketing that actually has a guy teleporting, and we say, you know, you don't have to teleport to work, you can telework. So there's all kinds of opportunity. I mean, a manager can do their job from home 2 days a week, or, you know, we have IT people. We have a lady who works in Oyen from her home basement, and she goes up to Edmonton once a month. So there's just tons of opportunity, and the way the world looks at telework and looks at business is changing. So you have to be ready for that. And clustering that, niching your idea like that is a great way to target people. Yes.
Well, and let's face it, our form of communication has gone a lot toward email these days, and a lot of that can be done from home if somebody needs to be on their email, whether in the morning you work from home answering emails and you go into the office for the afternoon, or you're home one day, work for. That's kind of, I think, what we're placing emphasis on as well.
Hi there, Sherry Cooper with Chinook's Edge School Division, and we have a committee that handles technology for the division, and there's 3 trustees on that committee. One of the initiatives that the chair of our committee is pushing for our board to send a letter to the Alberta government to finish the last mile. And the last mile of the SuperNet, I think, is going to go hand in hand with this whole rural initiative that you're talking about. And I think it might be good for other boards to also do the same thing and push the government to put those resources into rural, because it's one thing for me and living in a small town like Penhold, but when you start having people who are living out on a farm by Berry, a lot harder to get that internet connection. So how do you do that work from home? How do you manage that IT piece of your initiative? So that might be something that we can do collectively.
Yeah, I guess that's imperative.
Yeah, we're proud that we also in our area have our own internet service provider who uses the fiber optic network as well as SuperNet. And so we're proud to have them out there as well. But also, I don't know if you've heard of the Digital Canada 150, that the federal government wants to have by Canada's 150th birthday to have 99% of Canada covered by the internet, that everybody, even rurally, are able to access. So, yeah, that's a great point.
Well, I think it's contest time.
Yes.
And Lorraine loves a contest.
I do love a contest.
Every month she asks me, what contest can we do next month?
Yes.
So
for Facebook, I chose Marie Crawford Eisenman. Right, come on up and get your prize. As well, I chose from Twitter, Concerned Parent. come right on up. Thank you. Yes, let's give them a hand. And then I chose from Instagram, Rebecca Lee. Rebecca Lee, Rebecca Lee. 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 Reb And Janine T. Janine T. Where are you, Janine T? Oh, did Janine T leave? She may have. All right, let's see. Does anybody know who that might be? You do? Yeah. Do you want to take your prize to her? All right, well, thank you, everybody. And if you haven't already, please be sure to check out our new website, returntorural.ca, with TO, not the number 2.
Yeah.